Join Anthony L. McCaskill, podcast. Now join us for today's episode.
So, good morning. We have Mr. Christopher Moore here from the Harvey Voters Bloc, which is one of the premier media outlets for the city of Harvey. Welcome, Mr. Moore.
Good morning. I appreciate the invitation this morning.
Yeah, so we're going to do a two-part podcast this morning. We're going to do one with me talking to Mr. Moore about the great things that Voters Bloc has done and is continuing to do. And then we're going to switch it up a little bit, and then Mr. Moore, being a professional journalist, is going to do some questions and interview the Anthony McCaskill Incorporated podcast show. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Mr. Moore, tell everyone a little bit about Voters Bloc and exactly what it is you're doing and how are you able to capture so much information pertaining to the city of Harvey as far as news with the deaths, the drugs, and all the things that's going on in the city of Harvey.
Harvey Illinois Voters Bloc is a community action group. And what we do, we gather information from the community, whether it be violent crime or just day-to-day activities in the city of Harvey. The news can cover so much in the city of Harvey. A lot of violent crimes happen, and it never makes the news. The news has 1 hour to report what they need to report. They still got to do weather. They still have to do all of the things to bring information to the public. In Harvey, Illinois, we focus on the things that the news is not going to tell you, the information that they have not gathered concerning violent crimes, concerning drug activities, concerning day-to-day activities that are happening in the city of Harvey. It is not always in the positive. Over the last few decades, it has been negative news in the city of Harvey. Right. So the mainstream news outlets and the current sitting administration, they would like for you not to know these things. So Harvey Illinois Voters Bloc makes these things transparent to the public in the city of Harvey.
So what have you seen since May of 2019 to the current day? What have you seen as far as the deterioration of the city? What is the number one thing you've seen that makes you and your group upset with this administration?
Since 2019, a decline in community gatherings, a decline in crime in the city of Harvey. That decline comes from the lack of information. The crime is elevated. There are the most historical murders and violent crimes and gun violence in the history of the city of Harvey. And it's declined because the current administration fails to be transparent with the public. They fail to inform the public that they may be in danger. When there's a gun violence in the community, instead of informing the community to keep themselves safe and to be aware, what they do is covet that information as if it never happened, leaving the average resident in the city of Harvey to walk themselves right into a violent ambush.
Right. So I'm under the impression, and I know you do your due diligence, so I'll refer to you for the actual information. Is it true that the current mayor has his own private detail 24 hours a day, and the taxpayer is paying for it, and we have lack of police presence, but yet he runs around with his own private security firm? Is that true?
That is absolutely true. To the tune of about $20,000 a month, the people of the city of Harvey are digging deep for the protection of the current sitting mayor, who actually has these private security firm. They sit outside of his home. They follow him around all day, and they sit outside of his home 24 hours a day. Not only them, but also a paid police officer that is on the payroll that should be protecting the people of the city of Harvey. He's not allowed to leave from that location, even if one of his fellow officers are on the next block under a firefight. They can't leave from that location in front of the mayor's house. Let's keep in mind that the mayor is at home 10% of the time.
Right.
Even when he's not at home, he requires that officer never to move from his location where he has registered as a resident in the city of Harvey.
Okay. So, as a resident, and I've been in Harvey 47 years. You've been a long-time citizen as well. What has been the most decline? So we had Graves as the mayor, we had Kellogg as the mayor, and now we have Clark as the mayor. In that time frame, because we both can speak about that because we've been there, in that time frame, outside of the murders, outside of lack of communication with the residents, what is the difference between those three administrations that you see?
The difference, starting in the Nick Graves administration,
Okay.
There was a sense of pride in the city of Harvey. That pride went down and it trickled down into the Kellogg administration. The residents of the city of Harvey were starting to see progress in the city of Harvey under the Eric J. Kellogg administration. That is the reason why he was allowed to be reelected more than once after his first term into his second term. The decline did not come until the current sitting mayor became a city council member.
Okay.
And then that is when the great stopping of municipal government, the no votes, the things that stopped in City Hall, the information as well as the finances coming inside of the city of Harvey, city services came to a decline, and they are continuing to spiral down and declining in the city of Harvey till the city services are null and void. They are put out to residents that are supportive of this administration.
Okay.
If you're looking for service, then you have to do a jolly dance to receive it in the city of Harvey.
Right. So I know outside of the residents calling and talking to Voters Bloc, sending you information, phone calls, text pages, and contacting you through Facebook, have you ever in your entire career seen anything like this as far as the way the business owners are being treated?
Never. In a business, in a city, the business owners are paying vital taxes that are putting monies back into the city services. Business owners in the city of Harvey are targeted. They are harassed. The emails are come in by the hundreds. They are not able to get permits. They are not able to do things in their businesses, proper lighting. Right. The timing that they have to operate their business is restricted to the point where they are not making the revenues that they need to pay the astronomical taxes in the city of Harvey, the business taxes, their bills, their mortgages. Everything is falling behind because this administration goes out of its way to stop businesses in the city of Harvey from operating.
So, I'm going to ask you, this is a common sense question, what I would consider common sense. Any businessman that has any type of knowledge, knowing that if you stop businesses from doing business, then they can't pay the property taxes, the tax levies, which actually funds the administration and have the city up and running. What sense does that make? Like, why would you harass people to the point where they can't pay their property taxes, which ultimately pays your administration salaries and things? Does that make any sense to you?
It makes no sense, but it also at the same time makes a lot of sense. This administration is after the property. The property that these businesses sit on is inside of a TIF zone.
Okay.
In that TIF zone, the mayor is very interested in those properties. Several properties have been mysteriously burned. Several properties that these businesses, they are closed down. If he stops their income, they're not able to pay their property taxes, they're not able to function, then that business goes closed and that property sits there. Then this current administration comes along with a long paperwork, whereas to thus that you sign your property over to the city of Harvey. This is a property grab. If your business is inside of these TIF districts, this current administration is going to go out of its way to make sure that you're not able to operate.
And so you're saying that you're thinking, or you're alleging that this administration is trying to take the prime property from the club owners, the liquor stores, and things of that nature.
Absolutely.
Wow. But why? I mean, what sense does it make? Because at the end of the day, who wants to come to a village, or a city, I should say, with no police protection? The EV is completely out of crazy. I believe now the business owners are paying almost 30 cents on a dollar to be in the city of Harvey. Why would anyone want to come to the city of Harvey when there's no economic development, no police present, and there's the morale is so bad in the police department? Who would want to come and do business in the city of Harvey?
No one. Many business owners have been business owners in the city of Harvey for decades.
Yeah.
They have closed their doors.
Yeah.
They have many that the ones that are holding on, they are selling their properties. At this time, they haven't had protection on their properties. Several break-ins have happened. Several things have happened where the business owners have nowhere to turn. Some business owners have been just in business so long, they just don't want to give their business up. Yeah. But they definitely are selling these businesses, and no new further businesses want to come inside the city of Harvey unless they're handpicked by the mayor himself to come inside. And these companies, with no one's ever heard of them, they are not a part of the community. They are from the outside. They are big corporations that these properties and businesses are being sold to,
okay,
or doing business with the city with.
Okay, so if you look at the overall, I'm a business owner, right? You're a business owner, and how can we as business owners survive when administrations are attacking the pure fabric of small business owners? How do they survive? How does a city survive trying to bring in these corporations that are quote unquote non-for-profits? They don't pay taxes. So how do we help the small business owners, especially the club owners? And one of the biggest things that I saw during the 2019 election is he said that the club owners are the reason the city's murder rate is so high. Well, we know that's a lie, because just this year, Cook County said that there's 30 certified murders. I believe it's more than that. The year before that, I think it was 27. And then from May of 2019 to December of 2019, there was about 22 to 23 murders. He shut down the clubs right around September. So how do you use that as a springboard to say, I'm going to shut down the clubs because of murders?
The people of the city of Harvey, the business owners, at this time, we are 3 years into this administration.
Okay.
At this time, what they can do for themselves, and the only thing that they can do for themselves, is going to have to be at the election polls.
Okay.
You have no win in this current administration. There is nothing that you can do. You will be shown disdain and contempt. We have thousands of phone calls, emails over the last 3 years of the treatment that the residents, the business owners get when they go inside of the building and planning department, when they go inside of City Hall. They are not receiving the service, the respect, or the tools that they need to be a prosperous business inside of the city of Harvey.
Right. So as of yesterday, the Cook County's Assessor's Office and Treasurer's Office said there's 4,300 vacant homes in the city of Harvey. So from a business point of view, right, who would want to come to a community where there's no one, and I use this phrase all the time, ROI, return on investment. What business owner is going to come to a community where there are 4,300 vacant homes, which no one's paying property taxes on because the banks refuse to pay? Who's going to buy my product as a business owner? We lost Walgreens, not one, but two. So people are walking away all the time. Who would want to come to a community where the residents are not able to keep their inventory, or even my investment on whether it's auto mechanic, or whether it's an AutoZone, or whether it's an Aldi's, or why would I bring my business here when the residents can't even support the business?
From a business perspective, you would not. It's a bad business decision. What makes the city of Harvey very prime business location is where it sits. It sits in the middle of all of the major expressways, 294, 394, 57. You can access anywhere in the city of Harvey, any highway, and go anywhere in the country fast.
Okay.
So the property is valuable to transportation. This is what the mayor, the current mayor, is sitting. He is holding these properties and he is dangling them in front of big transportation businesses and moving the general population, the mom and pop business owners that are inside of the TIF district. He are forcing them out of their places of business so he can have these properties open for future transportation purposes.
Yeah, but transportation, even as a transportation company, I have a little experience with that. Who's going to protect my inventory, right? So if I bring trucks, or if I bring canisters in and they have merchandise in them, who's going to protect my merchandise? Should I have to go and get my own private, security firm, or who's going to protect it? Because clearly the police department in its current shape is not adequate to protect my inventory.
No one's going to be protecting you. You're going to have to get your own personal private security. The Harvey Police Department, there are many officers that are still hanging on, that are still hanging in there, that have been working in the city of Harvey, living in the city of Harvey for decades. But this current sitting administration, it uses the Harvey Police Department as its own personal tool.
Okay.
Not to protect the general public, but to harass the general public. If you say something about the mayor that he doesn't agree with, you can best believe there's going to be an officer dedicated to writing tickets on your business, on your vehicles, writing tickets on your making sure that they're there to close you down early on a holiday business day. He is going to find a reason why he's going to use these officers, and these officers are very verbal about this is something they don't want to do. Right. But at the same time, the mayor is their boss, and their boss is appointed by the current sitting mayor, the chief of police. That chief is handpicked. He's not from the city of Harvey. During this entire administration, none of these chiefs have been from the city of Harvey, and he has chosen some chiefs that are dedicated to their badge, we will say. So they have chose to resign than to break the law and to be allowed to use as a harassment tool on the population, on the business owners in the city of Harvey.
So, we looked at the former president, President 45. I'm not going to say the names. Mm-hmm. And as you can see, the amount of turnover that he had in his administration, he couldn't get along with anyone. He was a bully. When someone tried to tell him what they thought he should do based on their job as subject matter experts, they were terminated. How does, in 3 years, a city with less than 25,000 residents have 6 police chiefs? How does that happen? How can you not get along with anyone? Are they the problem, or are you the problem?
We understand, and the people of the city of Harvey, that the mayor is the problem.
Okay.
He's not able to work with certain chiefs of police because they are dedicated to their badge. They're career lawmen. Okay. And when you ask a career lawman to break the law, mm-hmm. they are going to resign. They are not going to compromise their professional licenses. They're not going to compromise their integrity of that badge to break the law for someone who has no knowledge of law enforcement in the city of Harvey. So any chief of police that wishes to investigate crimes that the mayor specifically wants to keep coveted, he doesn't want a crime or a murder of a child to be investigated because a family member of his is the prime suspect.
Right.
So if that chief chooses to investigate that crime, he just lost his job in the city of Harvey. He has two choices. He either can be terminated and have on his official record that he was terminated for some trumped up reason, or he can resign. So these chiefs have chosen to resign.
So we lost the entire planning department. They all resigned, right? This will be our 7th chief once one is named. There's been several staff members, whether it's in the water department or in the actual city hall, have walked away or retired and resigned. In your opinion, so let's sum this up real quick. In your opinion, what are the major concerns, not just with this administration, not just with the current mayor, but what is the real root of the problem?
The real root of the problem is continual corruption.
Okay.
Corruption and politicians that enter into the Harvey, Illinois race that have no experience.
Okay.
It's like if I decide I want to go be a surgeon tomorrow, I just show up in a surgeon's jacket.
Right.
I'm not going to be able to properly, I'm going to actually hurt someone and kill someone, not being experienced in my craft.
Okay.
Our current city mayor, he was a rookie alderman. He came down and he was elected after being a rookie alderman to now a rookie mayor. Mm-hmm. He does not have the experience as a politician. He doesn't have the experience as a businessman. He doesn't have the experience as an administrator or a facilitator to do these things. So he's making mistake after mistake. And instead of saying that you are making mistakes and you are willing to learn and get things together, you take the high road and pretend that you made each thing that you did was calculated and it was for a purpose, when actually it's not. So we definitely inexperience and corruption in the city of Harvey. And corruption comes from an individual. It comes from their heart. It's something that's inside of their inner being that makes them want to break the law and do things that create chaos in a community. So it's definitely corruption.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming out on this Saturday morning. We're going to continue this podcast series. We're talking about the city of Harvey, but also how the city of Harvey affects the Southland as a whole. So I want to thank you again for coming out, Brother Moore. This podcast is sponsored by Anthony McCaskill Incorporated, also 3A's Maintenance, LLC, and that's a wrap.
Thank you for joining today's podcast with Anthony L. McCaskill. Visit www.anthonylmccaskillinc.com. Until then, stay connected and informed with Anthony L. McCaskill, a proven leader you can trust.